All right, so we should be live right now, but before we kind of get this interview underway, is there anything that you want to plug or anybody you want to shout out?
Anyone want to shout out?
Yeah,
Uh,
or if you want to plug, like I don't know if you got a business or your family or friends own a business. Like I don't know.
Not really. I mean, I'll just say, not really, really. I mean, we don't like my mom and dad are kind of like they're not really like big internet fans. I mean, my trainer that I worked with, like he's like real like on the low, so it's really
Hmm.
nothing crazy I got.
Yeah, and I mean I guess you have a pretty decent Instagram following. I mean it's more.
Hmm.
Well, I remember I was like I used to look at people that have the amount of followers. And I'm like, oh, shoot, these people are freaking famous. So
Yeah.
I was like, you definitely have a decent following. But since you said like, I guess a lot of people that you're around kind of lay low. Do you try to do the same thing, or do you kind of like the social media and being kind of active on much different platforms with your friends a lot?
I would say it's like social media is a good place to like really it's good for coaches to get to know me and just me having fun, like seeing stuff, like TikTok and like Instagram, like you want to see that type of stuff. Like it's a place where I get on Instagram, I can see basketball stuff, I can see anything. Like I don't necessarily like to be on it all the time. It's like my posts, I'll get a mixtape or something, and I just like to post it because like most people that follow me, like they're like expecting that, like they like seeing my mixtapes and stuff like that and I like posting them because like it's just fun. But like when it comes to like always being on social media, I don't really bother it. I'll be on my phone, but I'm usually like just like talking to people like that are close to me. Like I'm not like trying to like just get my brand out there. It's really just I'm not asking nobody like shout out, repost my posts. It's just, people that want to follow me, you follow me, and like I like to follow people I like to follow. And it's just like my little circle. Like social media is just a place where I go to have fun and like just release my stuff.
Yeah, hold on. I just got one of those. Someone has called my house and left a message, but I didn't hear it. But
No,
we'll
you
see what
good.
happens with that. Like
All right.
I think it was like a automated thing. Like I don't know. I wouldn't have picked up. Anyways,
No, you
but
good.
I'm curious because you said you're on your phone, but I guess you're not always like on social media all the time. I don't
Hmm.
know if it's ever made it to Texas. I know like at my school got kind of big. The Retro Bowl game is that something you know
Yes, yes.
play?
So like really, yes, Retro Bowl, it went crazy in my school, but it's crazy because like my friend, like last say right before COVID hit, like March, we went to a tournament and he's playing this game. I'm like, bro, what is that? Because it was like one, it's terrible graphics, but you're like, it looks
Yeah,
fun. And like he's like, bro,
exactly.
it's Retro Bowl. So like I've been having a game, I didn't play it that much. Like I played it heavy as soon as I got
Mhm.
it, and then it was like, okay, it's all right. And then I see it getting on because I never saw it on TikTok back then. And then you see it getting on TikTok, people posting it. My whole school, like every class, it was at least three kids playing it in my class. It was crazy.
I I guess I didn't know because I don't have I used to have TikTok and then
Hmm.
I deleted it, so I don't really know. Sometimes like I'll see things that are like trendy and like I
Yeah,
see also do some TikTok, but I just didn't know because my friend like I was hanging out with him and like during school he's like you got to play this game and
yeah,
I'm like how did you? He never even said like oh it's from TikTok. He was like look how awesome this game is and I just
yeah.
thought that it looks so terrible that I'm like there's
Yes,
no way it was
yes.
trending. So he
It was
puts me on.
crazy.
Yeah, then I started putting my other friends on. Then all of a sudden I
Hmm.
start seeing like everyone's playing, but that game
Yeah.
is
It was
awesome. And
crazy because like I'm seeing everybody playing it. I'm like, literally, it was just like mainly our team that was playing it because they're all like into stuff. Like we play like Clash Royale, like
mhm,
Retro Bowl. Like they got me onto that stuff. Like I would have never played that if they weren't playing it. Like they're like, yo, try this out. And like we played together sometimes. And it's like when I saw it start blowing up, it was like it's crazy because I never
yeah.
thought that it would do that.
Yeah, that's like crazy too because you were like playing the game before it kind of got to this
Yeah.
point. But I'm so bad. I'm on year 21. I think I've only won. I think maybe three. I think three retro bowls. I don't know.
Oh,
I
come
can't.
on, man. You gotta get yeah. Look, dude, literally so like most of the times the best thing to do in it is just like get your fans up because all I do is get
Yeah,
my fans up, yeah, and
that's
then
what I'm
get your
trying to do. So
team,
fans give you money, and then you got to buy some cap space, then you get some players.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm doing right
I've never bought cat space. Really, I just like
now.
if I look at potential. So like if I don't have good players, like say
Mm-hmm.
it's like a 3-star cornerback and like I need somebody, I'll trade him or like after the season once he gains value, I'll trade him like right when the draft is and I'll get a pick and I get those picks and then I build a team And then you gotta hire coaches too. Like save up your credits. You buy an offensive coordinator
Yeah,
that's 5 stars, defensive coordinator. You're a 5 star
yeah.
everything, and then you start getting 3 coaching credits a game. And if you play all games and win a Retro Bowl, that's like 20 games. You're getting 60 coaching credits every season. And I put
Mhm.
my quarters on 1 minute, so it's quick. Like that's how I got it.
Yeah, I think my quarters are like two. I'm pretty sure it's either 2 minutes or a minute 30. But I don't know. It's something like I've been doing that too. But the one thing that the draft, because sometimes the draft kind of sucks. Sometimes you'll have like a first round like pick, and there's not really anyone too good. But I remember like what's it called? I do have a 5 star defensive coordinator, and I
Hmm.
have it's going okay. But I just have a feeling in the playoffs all of a sudden they're just not going to get any stops for whatever reason why. I think the tough part is the injuries messes me up because right
Yes,
when
that's
I was
so
the
annoying
Rams,
because when your
that's
quarterback
one
gets
thing.
hurt, yes,
Yeah,
and your
that's
quarterback will be out for like 5 games. It's bad.
exactly. That's why like I was doing good. I was undefeated. No, I think I only had one loss. I was like eight
Hmm.
and one, something like that. And then my running back got injured for 6 games. But now,
It's
like it's
crazy, bro.
I'm like 11-2 now or something like that. But the injuries
Yeah.
messed me up, and
And most of that stuff you can like just like I figured out if you upgrade like I didn't know if you upgrade your rehab facilities, it like
yeah.
makes that better.
Yeah, but I
So
always have cap space problems because I'm not like
yes.
I don't trust the draft. I mean, maybe I should because obviously you know how to play better than
Yeah.
me. Maybe I should trust
Do
the
you
draft.
know wait, so like in the draft, did you know that like when you put like say like it's a 1 star
Yeah,
player, right?
the scouting report and it says like potential.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is like I if it's potential, it means that they're not going to be good for potentially like a whole season.
You, bro, I'm telling you, you get so much. Like, if you get like say you're gonna like you get a wide receiver that's gonna be 5 stars. It's like 2.5 stars now. If you literally give him maybe like 10 throws a game for like or like even just target him for the
Oh,
first couple games, it's gonna get him XP like crazy. And really,
okay, I didn't even think it.
yeah,
Okay, makes
because most
sense.
of them will have like either like really good catching and like they're bad at like their speed and strength is bad or like their speed is all the way up. So you just throw it like I like my quarterback is
Mhm.
so good is like you drag it and he's taking
Yeah.
off for like a plus 30 yards after he catches it.
Yeah, the one thing I do have to agree with that. And I feel like I don't know. I treat this game like it's real life. Like I'll be like,
Yes,
there'll be
me
this
too.
like that. That's what I think because I feel like that's what you should be doing. Like I'm not just gonna play just to be done. Like if a player's like when it's like oh they were playing retro ball during the film session, do you punish them or not punish them? I'm gonna punish them. Like get off your phone. It's
Yeah,
what's gonna hurt my team. That's kind of what I do. But it is sad. Like it's satisfying too when you draft my quarterback because I chose not to re-sign the quarterback when I switched to the
mm-hmm,
team. And then I was like
mm-hmm,
in the draft hoping for like a 5 star quarterback, and the
mm-hmm,
best was I think like 3 stars. And now he's almost at his full thing, which is 4.5 stars. I mean, it's
mm-hmm.
satisfying watching him just grow. Like he used to be so bad.
Yeah,
All of a
yeah,
sudden he's getting a lot better. So
yeah.
it's
It's
like it,
satisfying,
it's
just
gonna be
like
like it's
yeah,
satisfying.
it's satisfying getting to see it all play out, and it's like you made that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like I took the way I think, like I finally got on my dream team. I don't know why I did like bad, and then all of a sudden they still offered me. So
yeah,
I took it. I'm not leaving, but every time like when I see the other teams interested in me, it's like reject all. I'm like, I gotta stay with my dream team, reject all. And that's like what I think in my
yeah.
head. It's the
Yeah.
funniest thing.
I'm at a team. I'm with Atlanta right now. I've been there for like 3 seasons. Like I've just because like sometimes when you switch and like they'll be like, oh, this team has 5 star offense, 5 star defense. You get there,
And then
it's
it
like two
lies.
stars each.
Exact.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That I fell for that trick. Yeah. I
I'm
was
never doing it again. I promise you. I'm like after I did that, I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. I fell for that. I was so excited. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be so freaking easy. Like I have all these good
Hmm.
offers. I'm taking it, and then I see the team, and I'm like, wait, what? Like they said, but whatever.
Hmm.
That's not the biggest deal now. I'm happy with I'm with my Dolphins, so I'm doing good in
Yeah.
Miami now. So I think I've won
Yeah.
two. I like 4 seasons, won 2 Retro Bowls there, so we're doing good. But
That's
now
crazy.
yeah, we could transition now to more about basketball.
Gotcha.
I just kind of start off a little basic question because I mean you are a young star, so I'm
Hmm.
assuming you've had a young start. So just when did you start playing basketball and really getting into it?
Really? I mean, I've been around basketball ever since because I'm the youngest. So my sister, shoot, when I was born, she's like 6 years older than me. So she's been in basketball. cheering. My brother's been football, basketball, and now he's like all basketball. So really, it's just me growing up around. So I started basically like pre-K to like kindergarten, first grade. Like that's when I started. I started playing for real kindergarten, like actual games is kindergarten.
Yeah. And were you always like one of the bigger kids, or how'd your game evolve?
Well, back then I was really just um I had such like I've always had good footwork just because my sister like she's really taught me a lot just like post work because like she was an undersized post. Even now she goes to Semi State. She's an undersized post, but now she plays like a three. But really, it's just I've always been like what I think is good just because my footwork and like I've always been bigger than kids. Like ever since first grade, I've been playing center, and now like me coming to a power forward, like it was crazy a transition, but it's evolved because in fourth grade, I promise you, I couldn't run it down the back without like huffing. Like I was like dead. Like we had a boot camp one time before our nationals, and we literally had to have this girl. She was an older girl. She had to like push me and run with me because I wasn't gonna make it. And my coach would start me if we were doing down and back in like 12 seconds. He would start me at the free throw line, and sometimes they would still catch me, and it was just hard because, as a big kid, like back then I wasn't used to having the grind. Like the grind was just like I was all caught up in like the fun part of it.
Mhm.
But just like getting to like actually like caress like the hard part and fall in love with just grinding through it is what really like transitioned me. Like once I realized that I have to get through this and like it's really not gonna like I think about it, if I quit right now, it's gonna affect me forever. If I do this for like this one day, this hard running, it's only gonna make me better. So
Mhm.
why why worry about it? It's just like having to adjust to it. But that's how I've transitioned really.
Yeah. So when did you really like what age were you really came to that mindset? Because I remember I was like that too, where and I honestly think it messed me up to this day. On top of I actually did hip hop for 5 years, and when I was like in elementary school, that's kind of why
Hmm.
I'm not the best at basketball. I'm just like eh. But my dad, we'd be outside, and he's like all I want to do is just shoot the ball or just like just get it like an easy pass and shoot it. And he's like, no, like you gotta learn how to catch the ball. And he'll like passing me super hard and I want to be able to catch it. I'm like, no, like stop,
Hmm.
like let me just shoot, or like you miss and I just get the rebound in the basket and put it up real quick. That's all I wanted to do is just shoot the ball. And now like when I was a freshman and I'm playing with these kids, they throw me the ball. I keep dropping it. Like it's embarrassing. I was embarrassed. And now I know like if I and he told me he's like you should have listened to me when you were first grade, second grade when I was throwing you the ball and you were like never catching it. You should have just learned how to catch the ball because
Hmm.
like that affected me to this day. But like I'm happy where I'm at with my activities and what I do with basketball. So I'm not
Yep.
too upset. But yeah, like it's crazy thinking about those. I was in first grade. Like I'm a senior in high school now, but still like that decision that I remember the day too. Like that day could have completely changed everything. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's definitely
Yep.
crazy. Yeah. So then how old were you when you like, had that change? Were you like young, like first, second grade when you figured that all out?
Really, when I was thinking about it, it clicked for me in fourth grade when I started realizing like, cause I was the biggest kid, but it was just going national and getting to like experience that at such a young age is what really set me off because I got to see how the like what you have to do to like even just survive at this level and then the next level. Like and the people around me have always been great. Like my coach fourth grade was Mo Williams. He's the backup for Like he was the backup for Kyrie Irving a year before. Won a NBA a final ring.
Yeah.
So whatever he's telling you, like you're gonna like it's gonna help you. So just getting through that, like fourth grade was where I was like, okay, like this is where that's when I stopped. Like fourth grade was my last year playing football. I played baseball until like second grade. That's when I stopped because football, like basketball, was too important. So fourth grade is when I started actually focusing, and basketball is my only sport. And then after that, it was just straight from there.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like fourth grade, even for me too, I think that's a year that I think that's like a maturing kind of year like thing. Like I
Hmm.
feel like once I got into third grade is when things started to get like a little different, I guess, started to see the world a little differently. But yeah, fourth grade, like I don't know, from fourth grade on, like I feel like I started to get a little more mature. I guess you could say so. That definitely
Yeah.
makes sense. But I'm curious, how is Mo Williams your coach? How did this all happen?
So he has shoot 6 boys now. So he has one that I think he went to, I don't know if he went to college, but it was KD as the oldest one. So I played with his son, his second oldest son, Mike. He was on my team. He had his like a kid. He was a year 2 or 1 year younger than us, Mason. So we were all. It was RM5. It stands for like his little like his team.
Mhm.
So and I didn't know, but my brother actually played 8th grade. Like played for RM5 too. Like they like mashed together. But Mo, like we're literally driving home. I known so 3rd grade I played with this coach. His name is Coach Miller. He coached me. We were with Night Riders. That's my first
Oh,
ever. Started out with Night Riders in Louisiana, New Orleans. First ever
okay.
tournament out of state. And then 3rd grade, we're coming back from a football game, and Coach Miller's like, "Hey, Mo Williams wants to call you. We're gonna go over there next year, 4th grade, and he wants to call you about these tryouts." And I'm like, "Mo Williams, he's on the Cavs, mom." So like they're in the car talking like, and we get the tryouts, and just how like how important he was to me back then was why I'm still playing today, mainly just because he taught me how to like get up and down the court. One, two, just fight through stuff, and then three, like he also taught you life lessons. Like he was my coach, so it
Mhm.
was a great time.
Yeah. So I guess you don't need to really give any unless this is not unless I'm wrong about this, but I'm assuming like it's because of your older siblings that you were really into this national AAU scene at a young age. Because I had no idea what like I didn't even know high school basketball was a big deal till I was in like 8th grade. So was
Hmm.
that why it was because the older siblings you were able to like get put in these opportunities at a young age?
Yes, really. The my first tournament in New Orleans, my brother, like I was there. I wouldn't even think about playing. And then, do you know who Keno is? He made beats. He's
Oh, oh,
a
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
producer.
yeah, yeah. I've met him before. He's the guy in
He
charge of
runs
all
Night
that.
Riders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess he heard about me somehow. I really don't know how. But we're in New Orleans for my brother's tournament. I think he's in like 7th grade. I wouldn't even think like I wasn't even on a team back then. Like I played for Team Texas, but that was like local. And he was at the same hotel as us, and I guess like he knew us or something. So he asked me to play, and like literally it all started just because I was at my brother's like tournament
Mhm.
in New Orleans. So yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say it really inspired me.
So for you in elementary school, like no one, I mean, there's like very few kids, and I mean, like Julian Newman was probably like elementary school, and everyone's like thinking he's gonna be insane, but like if you're in elementary school, no matter if you're scoring 50 a game and anything in basketball, like you don't really look good doing it. Like you're in elementary school, you're not. So like how is that for you? Like we're almost talking about this AAU stuff. Like this is current, 8th grade. Like you're old enough right now, but this is like you were like a little, I guess still like a big kid, like a big little kid, and we're talking about making moves to Night Riders and like Keno knows you, which is that's a so weird thing about how he's serious about getting these like little kids to be a part of this team. Like, what was it like for you being at that young age, kind of really getting started early in this national AAU scene? Because I know there's like always a lot going on.
So really, I mean, honestly, it was just like it took time because when you're a kid, it's just like you're not thinking about like I wasn't grateful back then. Like shoot,
Mhm.
we get team meals. I'm like, what is this? And it's like it's just because like it's all in like the maturing part. It's I got used to it. Like I had a phone back then. Most kids don't get a phone, but it's
Yeah.
because shoot, our freaking nationals were in Maryland. I'm a second grader, and like my parents, like back then, they really didn't get to go to my tournaments because they're focused on my brother and my sister because they're older. Like they need to worry about them, and I never got mad at that. So I'm staying with like coaches, parents, like teammates. It's just getting started that early, just like that's why I'm so used to it now. Like going nationally, like obviously you'll get nervous because it's a tournament, but like it's not like you're used to this. Like it's just staying in hotels, like all that stuff. Like I got started on that early, and it was like just as a kid getting started on it, it just really it just helped me.
And again, I said a little earlier, like I'm sure there's like some kids, or like maybe very few, like 1% of kids that are in elementary school, and I could tell like, oh, this kid's gonna be really, really good. But for the most part, like I can't tell like how good a 10-year-old kid's gonna be when he's 15 in high school. So what were people saying about you when you were like at a young age that like, oh, like you actually got potential to be like really good when you get older? Was it just because of your size at the moment, or were there other certain attributes that you
Um,
were at that
most of
age?
the most of it was just because people saw how one I was passionate about like that's the one thing that I had to grow up out of is just being my attitude because I used to get so mad because I'm a winner like if I didn't win I would be crying like but or my teammate impact like I'm yelling at him so
Hmm.
really it's the main thing that people noticed about me is like still to this day is how big I am and like how well I move my feet in the paint like the post um back then I could like for my size, I could kind of move and kind of like help on the screens and stuff. And then me having a good fluid shot at a big man and you're back in that age, like most kids are put under the basket and they're like, you don't turn around, you know?
Yeah.
And back then that was most of my points, but like just me having a good shot and like wanting to learn from the game is what people saw in me, and that's what they were like. Yeah, you know, you're gonna be you like you're a Dirk Nowitzki, you're a Hakeem Olajuwon. Like those are the comparisons I got back then.
Yeah, that's just so I mean, and I guess I saw something, and I guess it's not like too reliable rankings, but my guy, I forgot like his real name, but whatever the lift to grind guy, like I saw, I think he put you on his rankings. I mean, it's not like the most reliable thing in the world, but obviously like you got a lot of potential. So that's just like that's different. Like when I was up until like I think eighth grade, I was shooting like this, like to the basket the whole
Hmm.
time. Like, I can never imagine me being like little, like being passionate about basketball, understanding how to play, like having a form. Like I can never even imagine like
Hmm.
anyone
Yeah.
doing that. So that's definitely different for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess now like maybe transitioning a little bit into high school basketball. Just what's it been like now? I mean, you've been playing basketball for a long time, but now even though you're in your freshman year, I don't even know if your season's really started yet. But like this is kind of the last final step of like childhood basketball. Then after this, it's college and the pros.
Hmm.
So what's it kind of like? Starting this final journey in your childhood basketball career.
It's been great. Like the transition, it's been hard because the main thing is when I was like ever since I've been playing, I haven't had to run that much. I haven't had to play like my coach has said it. My like every possession didn't matter. Even in eighth grade, like you're guarding somebody and you're not having to fully deny him. Like you can just sit in the paint and be like this.
Hmm.
Like as of now, my coach, like we're always active on defense. Like we're talking, we're helping. So like that's a big transition. And then just getting in shape for it because the game is so much faster, way faster. And like being able to go fast but also slow it down and break it down at the same time is what's like a big transition. And then I'm 15 playing. You're playing 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. Like you're playing grown men. So really, it's just getting the physical part. I say isn't as like challenging, but just the mental part. But that's because like I'm like physical is just I'm a big kid out there, but really getting the mental part down, the physical part will come. Honestly.
Yeah, and I don't think any like top freshman, even like whoever's ranked number one at the end of this whole thing, is going to be like that outstanding in a game unless it's only against like kids his age because like high school basketball, it's kind of like it technically it is like it's like mini college basketball. Like there's a lot of plays,
Hmm.
like a lot of things you got to think about. Where when you're like younger, you really only know the basics. Then all of a sudden
It's a
you're in
lot of
high school.
IQ involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's just all these minor details. Like I didn't even know that existed, and that's like one of the biggest things I learned uh with being around like high school basketball is that when you're watching highlights on YouTube where you just kind of see him score like a quick shot every single time, like that's not how it works. Like everything was planned out and thought of and everything. So I'm curious because that is going to be an adjustment. How are you going to handle possibly not being just extremely 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 dominant in your freshman year? So, it is going to be an adjustment. Like you might play well, but you're not going to be this just outstanding, like blown away guy in your first few games because you have to make that adjustment. So how will you handle like not doing as well as you usually have been?
Oh yeah. So really, it's just I've had to adjust to it. My dad has helped me a lot because he's like he both my parents have gone D1. My dad was football, my mom's basketball. So my dad is real hard on me, but the stuff he says is really like very true, and like he will never lie to me. And this past weekend, like I played good. I missed this dunk in front of Baylor. He's like, one, the coaches are just looking at are you aggressive? Like even if you're not scoring, that's why like being a freshman, if you're not scoring, even they're just looking at your skill set, like what you can do. Because obviously, when you get older, you're gonna be able to score if you're a good player. But they're just like your hustle. Like if you get blocked, are you gonna sit there and be whining about it, or are you gonna get back on defense? And are you gonna get those tough like? Are you gonna do the little things, even if like say the big players, like most big players, they don't do the little things. That's why they don't stay at the top. When people that do the little things and then they get the big things down, that's the ones that rise up. That's why like unranked players, you'll see a lot of unranked players shoot up because they do the little things first, and then their fundamentals will come because it all comes with getting older. That's why my coach is telling me, "Yeah, Parker, you're gonna change in these next 4 years, but think about everybody else, how they're gonna change." So that's just like getting used to that.
Yeah, I love that point how you made like it's the little things because I feel like if you're I mean you don't need a score because they obviously the coaches obviously know they know you could probably score but and if you can't like that's always something you could
Hmm.
perfect but I feel like always a goal that I have almost when I play is I usually try to like whoever I'm guarding like I try to get them to I want to say never score but there's a chance that like they'll probably score at least a couple points but
Hmm.
usually I try to hold my man 0 points and then get
Hmm.
0 turnovers. And I feel like if you do
Hmm.
that, then that's already like a pretty because then in a way like you didn't hurt the team in any way when you were on the floor. You didn't give
Hmm.
up any points and you didn't give the team any extra opportunities. So
Yep.
I really like that point where it's like the little things are just
Yeah,
really
yeah.
really
It's just
important.
adjusting. It's just being a team player because in AAU, that's where you're supposed to shine.
Mhm.
That's where you can go one-on-one ball. But now, really in high school, you won't see there's going to be some teams that have that one player that's just like outstanding and they're going to give them the ball. But now it's more just what are you going to do for your team when it's not going good? Because everybody's okay when it's going good. When it's going bad and it's adverse, that's where coaches are looking for freshmen like us. It's just how hard are you gonna play? Like in the skill set, like the stuff you do doesn't really matter. It's just how are you like matching up against these older kids? Because in college you're gonna go against the same kind of like talent.
Yeah, and this question, respectfully, I'm gonna ask this question. Like I've heard, I hear that a lot. Just kind of honing on the little things. Like it's not what the coaches are looking at. A lot of players say that, and even though you haven't played in too many games yet, but just because like players say that and they never say like, oh, here's an example of what I did. I want you to give me an example of like one of the games you played in recently where you kind of did what you just told me about.
So you saying like when I did like the little things.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly, exactly.
So like shoot, this past weekend just um mainly like just one kid on this team is talking trash like all up in my face, and most freshmen are gonna they're gonna break down, but it's
Yeah.
like you have to realize that it's not like you have no more excuses. Like just because you're a freshman doesn't mean anything. Because if you have excuses, then that's why you're not gonna be playing. Like you're not gonna play if you're like, oh, I'm a freshman. What can I do? You can't have like my coach. He's saying he's never gonna have any excuse, and I'm a freshman anymore. I have to be a grown man. So he's talking trash to me, and he's like all up on me. But I don't let that phase me. Like I'm running the plays, and I'm not taking myself out the game trying to talk trash back to him and prove my point because I don't need to prove to anybody unless I already know and like high up people know. So it's really just that game. My shot really wasn't falling, but it's just getting those rebounds, getting the hustle plays like diving for the ball, or if you trap somebody, stay in that trap and try to deflect the ball, like just stuff like that, like just to help your team out.
Yeah, I find it funny. I'm sure someone told you this, but like if unless the kid's a freshman, maybe it makes a little sense. But that player talking trash to you is like not a freshman. That just means like they're threatened by someone younger than them, and they're a little nervous. So that's kind of funny thinking about it.
That's what
Like
I'm saying. It's like if I get talked trash to, it's for a reason. Because
yeah,
one, they like most people know that they're not gonna get my head because I'm past that. Like last
mhm,
year, there was like maybe two people that got my head, but like now, it's like if you're talking trash to me and you're like a senior, and you're not doing anything in the game. Like you're solely in the game just to try to get me off my balance, and I'm not gonna let you do that because that's what you're there for.
Yeah, it's funny because yesterday I actually played basketball yesterday, and a lot of the kids were like younger than me. Actually, like a good amount of it was like a team. It was like we were like all older. We played against like these freshmen, and I got like two little bully buckets, and I was talking a little trash, but I did not feel threatened. I did
Hmm.
not feel threatened. I was just like, I mean, it was in the moment. Had to talk some trash, but I kind of went against myself a little bit, but it did feel good to get a couple of those buckets. But now similarly to your AAU journey, kind of how you really got into that whole national scene early. Uh, you received your first offer. It looks like around August 23rd from Alabama State, and then you had another big time one from Texas A&M in October. So just what was it like starting out the recruitment process early and talking to all these colleges?
It was really crazy because like it's you have a target on your back.
Yeah.
You have offers, and it's like I'm not gonna let that get to me, but it's just it makes you like appreciate that those people like know where you're gonna be, and not because they can take your offer at any time. So I don't ever let that get to my head, but like that just lets me know where like people think that I'm capable of going, and I know where I can go. It's just it really inspired me. Like one because seeing all this work pay off because like really like I've never been like seeing myself in a ranking was crazy because from eighth, like seventh grade behind, I've never been talked about like that. Like I've had maybe one time in like seventh, sixth grade, they said like Texas ranked because I was like number three on our list. But it's just seeing all of it play out, and now it's like business. Like it's just like seeing the sport how it was all fun at first, but now it's like serious, and that's where like it gets to where you have to like really like stay focused and just stay like just love for the grind, like just stay there.
Yeah. I'm just curious. Did any really good player like go to your high school last year or something like that? Because like the names seem really familiar, but I don't know like
Hmm.
who it
Hmm.
was.
Yeah. CJ Nolan, he goes to Oklahoma now.
Oh, okay,
Hmm.
okay, okay. Do
And
you
then you
have?
might know. You said what?
Oh, here. What were you gonna say?
Do you know who Jalen Lake is?
It sounds really familiar.
He goes to Colorado State, but yeah, CJ
Okay.
was the big one. He was the big one that came out.
Yeah. So I guess do you have it all like a relationship with those two guys, or not really since they graduated?
Oh yeah, yeah. So really, it's crazy. We've known CJ since ever. Like I didn't back then. I was a kid, so I didn't really like when my mom was telling me this stuff. I didn't really know, but CJ, he's 1 year younger than my brother, and he played with my brother like back in like third grade on this team called Team Duke. So we've always been around CJ. Like I've always known him, but like we were never like that because I wasn't
Oh
really
yeah,
in.
I do
Yeah,
know. I have seen the kid before. I just searched him up. Yeah.
yeah, and like my mom told me, shoot at AU tournaments, like I would be by like his mom would literally like she took care of me all the time. Like I'm always going to her. She's picking me up, carrying me. Like that's when like and when I moved here, like CJ is just like I love him because even when he's at Oklahoma, he's not letting that get to his head because obviously he's a big time player. But if you meet him, like he doesn't ever act like it, and he's really a cool guy. And then Jalen, I like that's the one where I actually knew him because he played with my brother. Like when I could actually remember it, he played um like sixth, seventh grade, maybe fifth grade, I think. And he's always been a shooter. Like, well, I've been known he was a shooter. So like, and Jalen's another cool guy. Like, I've been around older people all my life because my siblings are old. I'm the youngest, so I had to really mature. That's why people say I'm more mature. So just getting like to have those guys and CJ, obviously he knows a lot. He's at the next level. Jalen, it's like it's good to have guys like that I'm close with, and they've came from this school, and like those are my expectations. Like those people that came out, and that's what I have to live up to now.
Yeah, and are they kind of like your mentors, like in a way, or is maybe someone else out there that can help you out a lot as well, or is it those two guys since they went to your high school and you kind of have some former relationships with them?
I really wouldn't say, man. Like, really, I see them as like best friends. Like, it's not
Mhm.
like, oh, he's my big brother. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
he's older than me, but it's never like that with them because it's like we can stay on the same. Like, obviously, I act like a kid sometimes, but we really like connect like friends, like just like anybody else would. I would say my real mentor is do you know who Stephen Headache Smith is?
I'm assuming he's like a legend, but I don't. I mean, there's like a lot of like Steve Smiths out there. So
So really, he's not like really. That's another one like in my circle that's staying low. Like so, since like the school year, like the basketball year starting up, like he used to work me out like maybe like a month or two ago. Like we work out like every Tuesday and Thursday after school, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday after school.
yeah,
And now since the basketball season, like he just knows, like he was like, I don't have to be your trainer like that. Like I can be your mentor. So he's really a mentor. Like I'll be texting him. Like I haven't texted him in like 2 weeks. I need to talk to him, but he's just one of those. He's been training my brother since we lived in Sulphur Springs. Like he would drive an hour and a half just to train us. Like that's how committed he was because he knew my dad wasn't playing around. Like he was serious about it. And he has actually, if you ever get the time, I'm not saying you have to watch it, but he has a documentary on Netflix. It's called Bad Sport. He's in the first episode of it. It's like an hour long episode, just about like what he did. He went to Arizona State, and then he went to the Mavs for a little bit. He was in the league, and I think he went to the Euros. I think I don't know his whole story. Like he hasn't told me yet, but it's a that's my mentor. Like I look up to him. He's just a great guy.
yeah, it definitely sounds pretty sick, for sure. But now, just bringing it back to those, the two guys that were at Waxahachie last year. I'm curious for you, like you kind of have, so I guess you could say, some big shoes to fill. I mean, you got time. Like, it's not like you're a junior and now it's your senior year this year. Like, you're almost starting
Mhm.
off like a whole new page in the chapter of the school. So what's that like? I guess starting that whole thing off again.
Um, it's nice because like just to see how those guys were treated in their community, just based off of really how good of people they were. But then spectacular athletes, like they're both good students. Like I could just, I'm excited for it because the people in this town like truly care about us. Like that's why I love staying here. Because if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be here. Like I'm definitely not here just for basketball. Like it's just the community, and just being able to see myself as like maybe being one of those guys someday when I graduate is just like it's nothing better. Like it just feels awesome.
Yeah, and that was something that's interesting you just said, because you see a lot of players, and I mean they do love their hometowns, and I'm sure that they might like love it a lot. But we see tons of guys like transfer and go to those big time national prep schools, and they got to leave their
Hmm.
hometown. And they might love their hometown so much, but sometimes like, oh, it's like, I got to sacrifice. But I mean, I'm assuming, just based on that statement, like, there's a good chance you might stay, in Texas where you live for all 4 years. So there's
Oh
most
no,
of
yeah, I am. There's not, yeah. I'm staying here my 4 years, I promise you. Because one, my parents are real big on just like academics.
Mhm.
So like, and this is a great academic school. Like there would be no reason for me to move unless something like crazy happened. Like that's like because I just love it here. Like I can see myself here in like 3 years from now, 4 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most kids kind of see themselves living in their like where they currently live for like 3 4 years.
Yeah,
But yeah, but I guess for an athlete, it is different, because like some kids move to a different high school for all 4 years of high school. I don't know. I mean, obviously that's something wrong with the player. I think, or they're just really really unlucky. But like, it's crazy to see some players will play in a different state for 4 straight years. Like, I don't really know
hmm,
how you could put up with that. But that's
it's
definitely
crazy.
cool. How you, I mean,
Hmm.
I feel like though, if like you have the resources accessible to you, and obviously guys have made it out of your high school, so it's proven that you can. But like, or even if you couldn't, you're gonna be that guy. Like, I think being a hometown hero is something that you just can't, like, that
Yeah, yeah,
I think is an awesome opportunity, because
and it's
even if
just like, yeah. Oh, no, 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 go ahead.
and I was gonna say, like, because like, even if you go to the league, like, and I mean, I guess if you're a star in the league, then it's kind of, then I guess it could have been worth it making the sacrifice. But even if you like play in college and go to the league, like, unless you're one of the top stars, like I saw RJ Hampton post something recently. It was like a picture of him, like all the fans behind him in high school. He's like, oh, like, I miss this so much. Like high school,
RJ's
like
cool. Yep, yep.
that's when we're gonna feel like the most famous. Is when, like, it's like kind of like when you're in high school in a way. So
Yeah, RJ, and that's another guy that's like like obviously we don't talk like that because he's in the NBA. You know, like he
Yeah,
has stuff to do. But he played my brother like eighth grade. Like he's cool guy. You know, he's awesome guy. Like just cool. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like if you go to a prep school, they don't most of them really don't have like that hometown feel. Like they don't have
exactly.
those it's not those fans that are from that like town that come to see it. It's like national. It's just like a to me prep school is like just too much of like a business feel. You know?
Mhm.
It's like you're a kid in high school like I want those where you can have your classmates come and like your teachers are coming to watch you and then like you have to live up like the town coming to watch you and just getting to come back to school that next day where all the kids are there and like that's what I like. And like even if one day I do make it to the league, just thinking about getting to come back to Waxahachie and just being able to be in this environment, like and know that I came from this and like that I worked for it would just be awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I mean, it does look fun. Like if I was at like IMG or something like that, and I'm just
Hmm.
balling out. Like it looks like fun, but I guess going to those prep schools too. Like one, some of them are just super small. I'm sure. I mean, you live in Texas. I'm sure your school's big. My school's also like huge as well. So I'm sure there's not
Oh yeah.
many students there. And some of those prep schools are like, yeah. I mean, like I know Sunrise Christian. It's like it's almost like the basketball team, and there's like a very small school they're like connected with. So it's just like if
Hmm.
you could afford to have like if you don't need to rush so fast to finish the process, like if you could have the time to just enjoy high school and play for your hometown and everything's kind of working out for you, like that that's an experience like you can't get that back. You know, you could take
Hmm.
basketball as a business when you get older, but you can't like go
Yeah.
back to high school. I mean, you could. It'd be kind of funny, but you really can't.
Yeah.
You can't get those
Yeah,
experiences back.
that's what I'm saying. Like you just get to be a kid. Like that's the main thing is get to be a kid and learn from stuff and like get to have that high school experience that back in the old days there was no prep schools like
Yeah.
nothing like that. It's just wherever you're from, that's where you're from. Like you're gonna be in that hometown and it's just like a great feeling just to be in that hometown feel and get that like high school experience.
Yeah, for sure. And I just like a couple more questions before we get in the interview. One,
Are
I
you
mean,
good? Yeah.
you always mention your family, and kind of how like your older brother and you said had like an older sister too and everything. I'm the oldest sibling, and I do feel like I mean some houses it's like I mean there's always one sibling I think is almost I mean the well I take it back, I take it back. And some families have like all like they'll have like three kids and all of them are like studs, like they I don't know they just get lucky,
Hmm.
but others kind of have like one that's kind of and the other is like, oh, this guy's gonna carry the family. Like, I mean, all due respect to my sister too. I have a little sister. She's only 2 years younger than me. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, we're all great kids, but my little brother, like that he like he's the one right there. Like and he's the youngest. Like, I'm 6 years older than him, and I mean, he definitely has like he's had a whole different childhood than I have. Like, stuff that like things that he knows I did not know when I was his age. Is kind of how it works. So what do you like? Do you like kind of being the younger sibling, and what are maybe some of the advantages of being that younger sibling?
Yeah, and yeah, I love it because one, you get to when you have older siblings, that makes you tougher for like you're prepared for the real world.
Yeah,
Like, and that's like even older siblings like you, like you're obviously prepared. Like, not saying like the older siblings just going into the world and like they're just butthurt, but it's like
yeah. I
you
mean,
get to just
that's kind of how I
yeah,
am sometimes. Like I don't really know. I don't really know too much.
yeah, and it's like it's just good getting to learn
Mhm.
what stuff you don't do, and like just getting to learn from their mistakes. Like say like you go to a party and like you don't talk like, and really like my parents are cool about it. Like not saying like they're just like okay go, but like
Mhm.
they know that like I've learned from those mistakes. Like my brother like he wouldn't text my mom or something like when he's at a party, so she get mad. Like not saying like mad at him for being at the party, but just not communicating. It's
Yeah,
just like stuff like that, like small things, and like really just being like grateful, like just how grateful you are. Like your parents like care about you. Like that's just what I've learned. Like being the youngest, obviously, the youngest ones are most of the times the most spoiled ones. So you get the stuff,
Mhm.
but it's like if you're grateful for it, then it's all gonna pay out, and that's how like you just learn from your older siblings.
Yeah. I feel like there's kind of two types of younger siblings. There's like the one you mentioned, but then also sometimes
Hmm.
there's younger siblings where because they have like older siblings, then they just almost like they might be like all like they might be super tight with their older sibling and they just kind of take them around and just act like this guy's like the same age as them. So then it's like they don't learn from the older siblings' mistakes. It's more they just kind of follow in the same path. Like there's like two
Mhm.
types of younger siblings, I would say, but I guess
Yeah. Mhm.
you're the better one, I guess. But my final question before we get in the interview, just kind of a good one or tie the whole thing in a bow. I mean, you really touched on it throughout the whole interview, but just what do you want your legacy to be like once you step away from the game of basketball?
Really, just it's whatever makes me happy, honestly. Like what I like, my parents know that I love this game. Like I've been playing this game, but it's really just I have a quote in my wall. It's just losers quit when they're tired, winners quit when they won. So it's really that's just where I want to be like where people will know that I'm not one of those guys that were just all for the fame. Because really, even these rankings right now, I really don't like it. It's not a big deal because I know I still have 4 more years until it starts mattering next year. Really, that's when
Mm-hmm.
the rankings started mattering and stuff like that. So just my legacy would just be to help a lot of people, like kids like me when they were little, like a big kid. Like I definitely want to have maybe like if I can get an AAU team, and then just maybe
Yeah.
like some camps and stuff like that, just helping like kids that were my like bigger kids, like just learn the fundamentals and like one just learn how to be like a good person in life, like learn to give more than take. Like when you give more, even if you don't get it back, like just like it's always good to give.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And now this is a tradition I have with certain guys. If they have a number in their Instagram, I kind of ask them what the number means. But I noticed in your bio that all your social medias have a different number. So I know your Instagram's 23. I mean, I'll still have you answer that question, but actually, yeah, I guess we'll answer that first. So I guess like why the number 23? Even though it's kind of
Um,
I'm sure I know why, but
oh no, you're good, yeah. So really, just 23, like that's just been my number forever. And really, I grew up watching Michael Jordan and
mm,
LeBron. Like Michael Jordan highlights, I would watch those on the way to games, like 20 minutes shoot. And then one mixtape I found, "Till I Collapse" by Eminem. That was one of the the songs, and I started listening to that. And every time I listened to it, it just gave me like Michael, like Jordan, just the vibes from that. So
mhm.
really, just getting to see him is iconic. Like he's the best ever. Like LeBron, obviously he's better all around. But LeBron, like Jordan, just growing up watching him, and my mom watched him. Like my mom wore 23 in college. Like just that 23 number, like just gives you that feel of just like when I step on the court, like there's no other feeling like just wearing number 23.
Yeah. The thing with that number though, like if you have 23, sometimes I think like, wow, like they actually had that number available at that school. And two, like if you're wearing that number, that's first thing everyone thinks about is Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Like you have a target on your back just because you're wearing that number. So what's it like? And you're a freshman too. So I mean, what like I guess I wonder like how'd you land that number, and then like how have you handled like kind of going to these games where now people don't even know your name, they see 23, like they're already thinking you're gonna be someone special.
Oh yeah. So really, it's just laying on that number is like I remember my first number was 32 back with Night Riders. That's when
Mhm.
I didn't have a choice, but just um that 23 is just like most of the kids that wear 23, they're either like really, really good.
Yeah.
They might like, there's like a couple 23s that I've seen that are bad. Like most people that wear 23, like they know what they're getting into when they put that number on. So it's
Exactly.
like
That's why.
when you walk out there, like it's just really, if you're wearing 23, one, you know what you're doing. Two, you know that like you have like, it's just different styles of like, it's your style. Like there's different styles for 23, like 23 Jordan, 23 LeBron.
Yeah.
Like it's just different. And I want to make my own style to 23. And maybe like I might switch my number someday. Like I still want to find my grandpa, really, my dad's dad. I want to find his favorite number and I might start wearing that just because like he was such an influence in my life. Like even though I didn't he died when I was like 8 years old. But
Mhm.
just how much of influence. It's just that 23 walking on that court knowing that like that's greatness and that you need to fulfill that. Like that's just the great feeling of it.
Yeah, and I guess you will probably like if you make it, or even I guess to college, there's a good chance you'll probably have to change that number for sure. But now my other question with these numbers again, so you got your Instagram's 23, and then your Snapchat has the number 5 in it, and your Twitter has the number 14. So why do you have like each thing having a different number?
So with my Snapchat, it's Parker Arm 5. I made that like that's why like when you're back like I made that in
Yeah.
like third, fourth grade. So when you're back
Oh,
there, like you're not,
oh,
yeah, you're
you
not
change it.
thinking, yeah, you're not thinking about like
Yeah.
what it's just like, oh, I'm on
Yeah.
Arm 5, so I'm gonna make it. But like still, I'm not ashamed of having Parker Arm 5. So that's why I
Mhm.
have it because I was on Arm 5 and I'm like, I don't know what my username should be, so I just put Parker Arm 5, and
Mhm.
that's I've just had that ever since. And then the Twitter, it's weird. Like, can you change the Twitter name? Because like I put my
I think you
Twitter.
can. Yeah, you can. You can.
Yeah, because like it originated my name, and I'm just like, okay. But it was like I saw it didn't even put my whole like I didn't even want a number originally on my Twitter. I
Mhm.
just wanted Parker Jefferson, like maybe like an underscore. And then I saw 14. I'm like, why is that there? Because I've never wore a 14 in my life. And yeah, I don't know. It was just like a like they just
Yeah.
generated it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that it's so funny with I don't know how that like happens with
Yeah,
Snapchat. Like for me, I got my first social media because again I'm the oldest, so my mom doesn't know, my parents don't know anything. So I got social media. Well, I got Twitter in eighth grade. That was for sports only. I could
hmm
only put sports content, whatever. But
yeah,
then I got Snapchat going into ninth grade, so mine's pretty solid. It's just my name. But
yeah,
yeah, I love sports like all or like Unicorn Girl or like dancing girl, whatever their name. It's always funny to see. But anyways, man, really appreciate you coming on, taking the time, letting
oh
me
yeah,
interview you. Yeah. So before we end this thing, just make sure you
yeah.
guys give us a follow on Instagram. His is at Parker Jefferson 23. And I'm at HoopsFL. And anyways, for Waxahachie High School power forward / center Parker Jefferson. I'm Isaac Fleischer, and this has been another iHoopsFL interview. Peace out, guys.